All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. The name's Starr Kitchenwares. Today, I'll be trying a new flavor of coffee from the Bones Coffee Company. It's called Army of Dark Chocolate. Of course, this is a play in tribute to one of my favorite films, Army of Darkness, which came out in 1992. Army of Darkness is become one of my all-time favorite movies. As it stands, it's the last part of a trilogy, but what's neat about it is that you need not see the previous two films to fully enjoy it, or to even follow the story, which is excellent. It's one of the things that really got me into Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, and a few other people that appeared in these films. The other thing about Army of Darkness too is that it really given me an appreciation for cross-genre films. Looking at the trilogy, the first part, Evil Dead, was like a true horror. Scary stuff, bloody, gory. Actually, the blood and gore kind of continues through all three films, but the tones change very much. In the second movie, Evil Dead 2, there's a nice split between the horror aspect and a humor aspect. So it becomes a dark horror comedy as opposed to just a pure horror. What I found particularly interesting about Evil Dead 2, now it's not as scary as the first Evil Dead movie, but there's definitely some parts that are scary. There tends to be a little more jump scares than the psychological stuff that the first one gives you. But, just when you get to that point where it's just like, man, this is a scary movie, there's some real like slapstick comedy kind of stuff. Moving forward, you get into Army of Darkness, the third movie. The horror is very, very, almost not there. There's really no scary parts in the movie at all, but there's some elements from the first two movies that make its way. It's a lot more on the humor, but also on action and fantasy. Think Jason and the Argonauts meets the Three Stooges, meets whatever your favorite slapstick comedy might be, which in theory sounds like it should be a pretty stupid movie, but it's not. It takes all the best elements of what I just mentioned and really cements them together nicely. I ain't gonna lie to you. The film is outright goofy, but it's goofy in the most wonderful way. You can't help but to be entertained. I mean, unless you're a real, stick up your ass dude or dudette, you're gonna enjoy this movie, even if you don't love it as much as I do. I first heard of the Bones Coffee Company through, ready? Facebook ads. Like a lot of things, especially the last 2 years, Facebook advertisements has introduced me to a lot of different products. And I remember seeing ads for Bones Coffee Company. What I found interesting about them, besides that they sell coffee, is that each bag of coffee, whatever flavor it is, it has a unique branding to it that's based in pop culture, a lot of it in the 80s, but not necessarily just 80s. Movie culture, music culture, not that different from the Ben & Jerry's ice cream, how they come up with flavors and they have all these ties to pop culture. Bones Company kind of follows that formula, in my opinion, a little more abstract, a little less hippie-like, right? The Ben & Jerry stuff is usually very hippie-like. The Bones Coffee Company, it's a little closer to, there's a little bit of psychedelia to their art on there, but it's different. I'll put a link in the description below and you can take a look and see what I mean. But it's cool because they pay tribute to all these great pop culture references they're not really parody, they're more like tribute drawings of, it might be like a movie poster, for example. For Army of Darkness, they recreated one of the movie posters, but they put their own character in there. Bones is depicted as the protagonist, which would be Ash Williams in the movie, and their own spin on it. So it's pretty cool. So from an artistic view, from a visual view, going by seeing these ads, I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. The prices aren't horrific. I'm not saying they're not a little bit pricey, but they're not over the top like what I've seen. And on top of that, despite maybe costing a little bit more for the same amount of coffee than I would pay for, say, Folgers or somebody, you do get the nice art, and it's still not going to break the bank for you to go and try it. And if you actually like it, you end up, buying more, you're spending a little bit more for something you like. And if you don't like it, well, then you only blew, a little bit more than you would have one time to try, at least So naturally, one of the ads that I seen was for the Army of Dark Chocolate. And of course, it caught my eye being a fan of the Army of Darkness movie. But not only that, in this very same ad, they were having a giveaway where you made a purchase and you follow them on Twitter and Facebook and whatever else, that you get entered into this sweepstakes. And if you're one of the people chosen, then you would get a year of free coffee from them. So I thought to myself, I was like, wow, free year of coffee. Now, I have no idea what this coffee tastes like. I still don't, actually. I'm going to taste it in front of you for the very first time. So the reviews are pretty decent, and I didn't really read much as far as it tasting bad or anything. So I figure my instincts are telling me that the worst case scenario, it's probably going to be mediocre coffee. But mediocre coffee is better than bad coffee. And free mediocre coffee, while it's not as good as good coffee or great coffee, it's still pretty damn good. I figure it's worth the 15 bucks for me to buy one package of the one coffee that really caught my eye. I might win it for a year, I might not. Worst thing that happens is I blew $15, but I'll know what to expect from them, and we get this video out of it. Hey. So I think it's pretty safe to say that I wasn't chosen as one of the winners for the free coffee, but now I have a new coffee to try and an excuse to drop as many lines from this movie as I possibly can. So who's laughing now? So I've taken the liberty of printing out a blurb from their website about the Army of Dark Chocolate. I mean, we all know what happens when you read aloud a passage from the book, but no one really heeds the warnings in horror movies anyway, right? You guys know that. It says here, after being teleported to a world without caffeine, Bones must search for the book of dark chocolate to get back home. The evil Lord Decaf has other plans. Armed with nothing but a ripping chainsaw and his long mug of dark roast coffee, Bones must vanquish his foes, find the book, and maybe even save the girl. Hell yeah, baby. It also says here, Army of Dark Chocolate is an absolute treat, created with 100% Brazilian Arabica roasted, perfectly dark, and a splash of decadent dark chocolate flavor. Say that 10 times fast. So being the coffee connoisseur that I am, and the fact that it's a total reference to Army of Darkness, and the fact that it's a Brazilian roast, I mean, you can see why I need to try this coffee. So let's open the box. Let's see what we got here. I'm gonna be careful that I puncturing only the box and not the bag. Also careful not to slice my finger open. Let's see what we got here. We got the packing slip. Aw, what an adorable little bag. Let's check this out. Okay, it's bigger than I thought it would be. So, here it is. Army of Dark Chocolate. And I can tell you right now that, now bear in mind, my sense of smell is kind of heightened. It's a blessing and a curse. In this particular case, it's a blessing. Because even though this has not been opened at all, it's actually very well sealed. I can still smell it just slightly. And I can smell that chocolate tone that's in there already. Actually, that's all I can smell. And so far, it's a pleasant smell. Kind of reminds me of kind of like a hot chocolate. Maybe not as creamy. The picture on here is great. And it says, dark roast, small batch. Okay, so a 12-ounce bag for 15 bucks. Is that good or is that bad? Well, let's find out. I just happen to have, in this cabinet, a bag of a special folders blend that I bought. That's also 12 ounces. Okay, so this is 12 ounces. It cost me about $8 or $9, so about $5, $6 more. Okay, now again, never tried this before. It might be gourmet, it may not. If the reviews that I read are fairly accurate, I would say it probably is worth the 15 bucks. Oh yeah, the blurb that I read even shows it has 5 out of 5 stars from 218 reviews. So that's a really good average. Out of 218 reviews, there's got to be at least 200 of them that are 5 stars, because it doesn't take much to like lower your star rating a little bit. All right, and this one's 5 stars out of that many. So there's a pretty good chance it's a pretty decent coffee. Also in the package, I didn't even realize this just now, is a sticker for the Bones Coffee Company. That's pretty cool, right? Seems like the back of the packing slip has some instructions about opening the coffee, which, okay, that's a little unusual. It says here that before I open this bag that I need to recite the words Klaatu Barata Nikto. Interesting. And it's telling me to practice them a few times now before proceeding, for safety's sake. Okay. All right, sure. Be a good sport about this. Klaatu Barata Nikto. Says to do it again. Klaatu Barata. You know what? I got it. I got it. I know your damn words, okay? Oh, wait. That was the practice, right? I probably... Yeah, I don't know. Quickly point out that the area of the bag where you're supposed to hold this top, which I'm not going to do right now because I think I have to say the words so it counts, but shaped like a little bone. And see, so this way you grab the bone and you rip that open. That's pretty neat. I'm actually looking forward to doing that once I've said the words. Okay, where are those instructions? That's weird. Huh. The words just disappeared as soon as I grabbed the bag and started to show you the bones thing. See, look, it's blank now. You know what? No biggie. I got this, really. I said I know the words. I know the words. So there we go. Klaatu Barata. Necktie. No, it's nectar. Nickel. Noodle. It's a word that starts with N. Definitely a word that starts with N. It's a word that starts with N. It's got to be. Yeah. No, it is. All right. Klaatu Barata. Okay, then. That's it. Oh, I gotta say, that is a nice aroma coming right from this bag. It's not open much. First of all, the material, the bag material, very sturdy, like nice, almost like a foil, but stronger. Definitely more durable. And even the outside, I mean, you can hear the way it crinkles. Hear that? Really tough stuff. I mean, really seal in the flavor. Yeah, if I do this, yeah, I got, they say there's tones of chocolate. I would say it's a little more than tones. I mean, it's like pretty well infused. Not a bad thing though, it's a nice smell. Kind of reminds me of hot cocoa. I know it's supposed to be dark chocolate, but now, I like dark chocolate, but you know, I recognize that dark chocolate has a little bit of a bitterness to it because it's not milky like milk chocolate is. However, this dark chocolate, I mean, it smells like dark chocolate, but at the same time, not very bitter, at least not as far as the aroma goes. I mean, the taste might be different, but from the nose's perspective, yeah, not very bitter at all. I do pick up a bit of the Brazilian coffee beans, but it's very faint because the dark chocolate is a little strong. Before I proceed, just to let you know, this video is not sponsored at all by the Bones Coffee Company, all right? I want to give you an honest review, and in order to do that, just letting you know, not sponsored. First off, this is one of my earliest videos, so aside from like a handful of my friends and maybe a couple of strangers, nobody's watching my videos anyway. Who the hell would want to sponsor me at this point, right? But that being said, if this goes well and Bones Company would like to sponsor me, they should send me an email at the email address that I'll drop in the description below. Bones Coffee Company. Hey, you know, you want me to review more of your flavors? You want to sponsor it? Hit me up. Let's talk business. All right, so let's do this. All right, so I got my Mr. Coffee here, my favorite coffee maker. Actually, it's not. I don't care either way what coffee maker. As long as it brews my coffee. It could be Mr. Coffee. It could be Mr. Peanut. I don't care. Put in my coffee filter. Got my coffee scoop. And let's see here. Well, this bag doesn't open a lot because they want to preserve the flavors, so I got to be careful that I get the scoop in there nice. But what's cool is, so I don't know if I can describe this properly, but the little flap from the zipper part protrudes in a rather convenient spot for me to kind of level off the coffee as I'm pulling the scoop out. Look at that. Nice and even. Yeah. Yeah, good call, Bones. Good call, Bones. I'm going to prepare this as if I'm preparing my normal morning coffee. So we're going with 2 scoops. As you can see, level it off a little bit. And okay, so I spilled a little bit. No big deal. I'll take care of that later. Okay, it's my 2 scoops. I tell you, it really is a nice aroma. Like I keep finding myself forcing the air so that I can smell some more of it. Okay, got my grounds. That's another thing too. When you order it, you can also order it whole bean if you wish. I would imagine that buying it whole beans is probably a little bit cheaper. To me, it's worth a couple extra dollars to have them grind it for me. So I'm gonna portion out some filtered water. Put that in my coffee pot. Our maker. This is the pot. Alrighty. Get that in there. Set her here and let that bad boy brew. All right, so we have a few minutes. I want to take this moment to tell you about my history with Army of Darkness, like how I became a fan. So I remember being in school still when this movie came out, seeing commercials for it on TV. A couple of things I distinctly remember. One, the commercials didn't run for very long. It seemed like they ran a lot for like about 2 weeks, right before the movie came out and maybe the first couple of days that it was out. And then I didn't hear anything again. Word of mouth, I had heard from a couple of people that were fans of the first 2 movies, which I didn't even know existed yet. They were saying, oh yeah, Army of Darkness is great, blah, blah, blah. At first I was taken aback because, you know, they changed the tone of the movie so much from the previous 2, but it's such a great movie. I'm like, all right, that's cool. And I completely forgot about it. Like, didn't even think about it again until the early 2000s. I remember being on the internet, and you know how when you surf the web recreationally and you don't really have like a particular thing that you're researching, you're just kind of clicking by. I mean, before Wikipedia, I was looking for horror movies because I've been a horror fan pretty much since I was like 8 or 9 years old. I was just kind of exploring, and I came across this website. It's about all these different subgenres of horror. You know, he's got these movie reviews. So you have like zombie flicks, vampire flicks, ghosts, hauntings, alien stuff, all separated out. Basically, all the reviews are written by the same guy who made the website. I mean, he has a great style about him. I like him. He's like a regular guy like me and like you. And he's a horror geek, which I like too. And what's great is a lot of his reviews included, you know, he talked about how, oh yeah, I went to Blockbuster and couldn't believe I found this title, you know, that sort of thing. I came across this section where it included the Evil Dead movies, just based on the enthusiasm that he portrayed in his writing about these movies. I was just like, it really intrigued me. Now, at the time, I wasn't really into zombie stuff or like Dead Come to Life. Like, it wasn't really my thing yet, but he really piqued my interest. And then when I'm reading, and of course, he's reviewing Evil Dead, and he has a link, hey, here's my review on Evil Dead 2. And then in that review, it's like, hey, here's my review of Army of Darkness. And I'm like, Army of Darkness? That sounds familiar. I think that was that movie that my friends were talking about years ago when I was in school. And I remember one of my friends saying, yeah, you know, it's cool, but the main character is so sarcastic. And so I'm just like, hey, sounds like me in the middle of a horror flick. So yeah, read the review, and I'm like, okay, I should check it out at some point. Forgot about it for like maybe a year. Even though I knew that Army of Darkness was part of a trilogy, and typically I would watch a trilogy from beginning to end, I really, really wanted to see Army of Darkness based on this gentleman's review. So then I went ahead and got it. I got my greedy little hands on it, and I was like, oh yeah, Army of Darkness, this is going to be good. Needless to say, watched that movie, was so entertained. Pretty much from the first 5 minutes on, I was hooked. I loved Bruce Campbell. His performance was amazing. He was just, you know, he's considered like a B-movie actor. If you think he's a B-movie actor, he's at the top of the B-movie actors. You know what I mean? He's like a A-. But honestly, I feel he's even better now. I feel he's on the same par as those actors. But, you know, he tends to star in these type of movies, particularly back then. His performance really makes it more than anything. I mean, the writing's great too. Special effects are cool, you know, music in there. They had a decent budget for it. This is one of the performances that put Bruce on the map. No doubt about it. Fantastic movie. If you have not seen it, do yourself a favor. Open mind, go and see it. Now, if you're a horror fan, if you like comedy action movies, that sort of thing, you just like good humor, sarcastic wit, slapstick comedy, any of that stuff, if you like any of that stuff, even if you're just a person that likes to go watch a movie and be entertained, you should do yourself a favor, watch this at least once. And unless you're like a negative Nancy or something, you're probably going to see this again and again, and probably a couple more times after that. And if you have cool friends like me, you're probably going to see it more times than you can keep count on. As far as movies that are part of a horror franchise, it's probably the most quotable one. I mean, so many quotes in here. You've already heard me spit out a few. I'm going to shoot out a couple more before this video is over. May even have a surprise or two related to the movie, because that's how much I enjoy this movie. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to review this, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to go and I'm going to pay tribute to one of my all-time favorite, not just all-time favorite horror movies or horror franchises, but just one of my all-time favorite movies, period. Coffee should be done. Let's give it a shot. All right, so let me start by saying that whenever I try new coffee, I usually start by tasting it just purely black, not sweetened, just the coffee as is. Now, there are certain coffees where the quality of the bean is so good, and if you match it up by having just the right combination of water versus coffee grounds brewed, sometimes you'll find that you can drink some coffees just as they are and doesn't require any sweetener, doesn't require any cream, nothing to change or enhance the flavor because it's already good. So let's take a look at this. First of all, yes, it's autumn right now, so it's been a chilly day. It's nice holding this cup in my hands. Feels warm, feels good. But let's see here. Okay, so the aroma, I understand now the combination in the bag. The aroma is not as strong as the grounds in there. It makes sense, right? Because you take the grounds in, you heat it up, you dilute water a bit. So while the chocolates seem to be a little imbalanced in the bag, once it's brewed, it appears to be just the right amount. Definitely smell that Brazilian Arabic coffee bean. And the dark chocolate, smells like dark chocolate. Not to a point where it smacks you in the face like it did before, but it seems an appropriate amount for this blend. And now the taste test. Okay, so bearing in mind A, that it's coffee, and B, the tone's dark chocolate, you should expect a reasonable amount of bitterness because after all, dark chocolate is kind of bitter, right? Coffee's a little bitter. But it's not like offensively bitter. Yeah, it's just the right amount. If I was in a pinch and didn't have anything to sweeten it with or to add to it, and it was like the morning, like I need my caffeine, I could drink it this way. No, it's not bad.
Beware, kin of Starr.
Did you hear that?
I'm gonna swallow your soul.
Swallow this. All right, so now, while I am a coffee connoisseur, and I'm more than willing at times to try coffee black, I prefer to add stuff. We're gonna give this next test because I want to respect the flavor that's there. Let's see what this tastes like just with some sweetener. I've already portioned out some sweetener for me here. Give me some sugar, baby. I'm gonna fill the cup up. Fill up this mug. Maybe I should have made more. You know that voice you heard before? Now it's coming from my stomach. I'm gonna get you, pal. How about some dark chocolate, huh?
No!
Okay, so now I have my sweetener in here. Adding that bit of sweetener really brought out the chocolate in there. Actually quite pleasant. For a quick second, when I took that first sip, it was almost like taking a square of dark chocolate that's about, I forgot the ratios. You know how you can buy them different ratios, like it's 80% dark and 20% sweet or whatever it is. If you were to buy one where it's a couple of levels below what milk chocolate would be, like, you know what I mean, like not too bitter, that's what it tastes like, just adding a bit of sweetener. So it's basically, it's still black. To be perfectly honest, I think you can drink this without adding any kind of creamer or cream, no dairy or anything like that, and be perfectly fine. It is a treat. Like they actually said in the blurb here, Army of Dark Chocolate is an absolute treat. When I was reading that before, I didn't say it because I didn't want to insult anybody, but I thought it was kind of presumptuous to say that, but you know what? They are not wrong. That's a nice chocolatey taste adventure for you to go on. So next I'm going to add some cream. Now, this is just plain heavy whipping cream. The reason why I'm choosing this is because, again, with a flavored coffee, whether it's something like this with chocolate tones or if it's like a French vanilla blend, anything like that, especially when it's my first time trying it, I don't like to add flavor additive to it to mix that flavor because, again, respecting the work that they put into making this blend, I want to make sure that I'm experiencing what they intended so I can form a proper opinion on whether or not the flavor is good or what the flavor is like. Then later, once I've done that, then I can experiment with some other flavors just to see. So let's try this here. By the way, this cream, nothing special, just great value cream from Walmart. All right, so shop smart, shop Walmart. You got that? Mixing my cream in there. You hear that? That voice in my tummy. It's there again. Pfft, I know what to do about him.
Not again! Ah!
How'd you like the taste of that, huh? Okay, so adding the cream, despite my silent prediction I made in my head, it did not make it taste like milk chocolate. It still tastes like dark chocolate, which has a touch of cream added to it. And I'm sure my proportion of cream to coffee has something to do with it too, but I actually like my coffee pretty creamy. Still tasty though. You know, what I like about it is that it's smooth. It's a smooth blend. That kind of smoothness you expect from a Brazilian bean. Again, the dark chocolate tone, it's prominent, but it's not overbearing. So it's still there. It's still very much present. Like, you have no doubt about it. I mean, I can give this to somebody, not tell them what it is, and they'll be like, dark chocolate? And I'll be like, yes. All right, so I wasn't going to do this, but you know what? I got an idea. In addition to being a coffee connoisseur and a horror movie buff, super duper amateur YouTube video creator, I'm also a bit of a, what you might call a food mixologist. I like to mix flavors, and I specialize in flavors that the average person wouldn't necessarily try because they walk in with preconceived notions of how it might taste. Since I was in elementary school, I've always made weird mixes of flavors, whether it was like a condiment for one thing that you wouldn't put on another, and I experiment, and sometimes the experiment fails horrifically. But most of the time it's pretty good, or at least not bad. Being that it's October, being that it's pumpkin pie and pumpkin spice season, okay, no judgment, but I just happen to have some pumpkin pie spice creamer. I think if I add just a little bit to this, it might be pretty good. So I'm just gonna cover up the label here, shake it up. Again, don't judge me. Listen, life is just a big journey, and if you don't try to experience new things, if you don't take bold actions, are you really living, or are you just getting by? You know what I'm saying? So I like to experiment. And quite honestly, it's my taste buds, my stomach, and whatever that little creature was that I heard in there. I'll do what I want. All right. Let's see what this tastes like. Cream, sugar, pumpkin pie spice. Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants. Yeah, this is good. That is really good. Not for nothing, but that was a good call on my part to add the pumpkin pie spice. Yeah, not too shabby. We've tried the coffee. You know, the most dreaded part of making a video, or even just making anything in the kitchen, the most dreaded part is the cleanup. You probably noticed before, I did spill some of this onto the floor, so I probably should take care of that. But it's okay because this is my broomstick. Yes, that was a completely self-indulgent reference to the movie. And I'm having a lot of fun with this. I hope you're having fun watching this. In review, Bones Coffee Company. Pay a little bit more than you might be used to, but at least with this flavor, you're pretty much getting what you paid for. Army Dark Chocolate, definitely recommend this flavor. You don't need to be a fan of dark chocolate to enjoy this coffee, but you do have to like coffee. Not for nothing, but I'm just a guy with a camera posting videos on YouTube as if someone gives a damn what I think. You might think that it's bad that I'm giving this review because you might try the coffee and it might taste awful to you. Or you might think that it's good that I'm making this review because now you're inspired to go try it for yourself or try something similar. Good, bad, I'm the guy with the mug. But you know, at least nothing bad happened for me opening that bag. Remember before they were talking about the words and giving all the warnings and stuff? But you know what? I mean, yeah, I heard a couple of little weird voices here and there, but I mean, you know, I live up in the woods. I mean, there's weird sounds all the time. I know some of you were a little nervous, particularly when I couldn't remember that last word. You know what? I said the words. I may not have pronounced every little syllable perfectly, but I basically said the words. Yeah, basically. Everything's good. It's weird. My hand's doing this like weird thing. I didn't think the coffee was that strong. Hey! Whoa! What the? Oh, my hand is like I'm not in control of my hand, people. It's hang on. It's like oh god, it's trying to choke me. Hang on a second. I got. Oh man. Oh. Oh. Yeah, it's just really gotta. Don't worry about me. I got this. Hang on. Oh my god, this freaking hand. I'm gonna show you who's boss, pal. No, that's it. You're messing with the wrong guy. Nobody messes with Starr. Starr does the messing. You got that? Boy, that was a close one, I tell you. Oh man, I showed that hand who's boss though. I thought I was gonna get choked out. Did you see that? I just groovy. All right, guys, who wants some? Like, share, subscribe, and come get some. All right, guys, I gotta go. I just heard something in the woods outside this cabin. I better go check it out. But first, hail to the king, baby.